Hi, my name is Al Lewent, or Al the Mediator, and today I'd like to take a few minutes to talk to you about how to conduct a telephonic mediation or a mediation by other electronic means. Telephonic or other electronic mediation may be your best option. So let me tell you how I do it, and hopefully that will be helpful for those of you who have been reticent to use electronic means or have very little experience using electronic means. And for those of you who are concerned about the success rate, which may be why you've been reticent to use it, I've done more than 2,000 mediations in my career, many of them in person, but also many of them by telephone. And my experience is that the success rate is virtually the same. So let's start with how you get ready for a telephone mediation. You're going to prepare the same way that you do for all of your other mediations. You're going to learn a little about the case. You're going to send paperwork to the parties that you need them to sign, and anything else that you might do to prepare. Mediations vary in terms of how long they take. For the mediations that I did, usually I would schedule them for 3 to 4 hours. Mediation day, you're going to either call the parties or invite them to your video audio platform. I usually like to initiate phone calls, so I would call the parties. I would get the parties and, if represented, their attorneys on the line. Basically go over what my role was, that it was neutral, that I was not an advocate for any party, that I appreciated their willingness to give mediation a try, but that ultimately it was up to them to determine if they could settle the matter. When I got each party on the line, I would double check with them to make sure that there weren't other people in the room who weren't authorized to be part of the mediation, since generally you want to protect the parties' confidentiality and privacy, so it was important for the parties to be assured that only those persons who were authorized to participate were participating. Mediators use different styles, so after the initial discussion of what your role was, in my case, I would then separate the parties. I know some of you prefer to keep the parties on the line, and that's just fine. It's important to use the telephonic and or other electronic means to suit your style and to what the situation requires. But again, in my case, I would have one side hang up and would talk to each side separately. It's very similar to shuttling back and forth between two rooms. But instead of shuttling back and forth between two rooms, you're calling each party on the telephone back and forth during the allotted time. And you're doing exactly the same thing you would do as if you were in person. You're going to talk to them about their offers and their counteroffers, the specific terms of the agreement, decide which ones they can agree to, which ones are going to require some discussion before they can agree to them. You're going to discuss issues of liability and remedy as may pertain to the settlement discussion and any other issues that are important. Basically doing the same thing as you do if you were shuttling back and forth between those two rooms. It's important to remember to be patient, that the people that you're dealing with are human beings. They take different amounts of time to process things. And at the end of the 3 or 4 hours, hopefully either they've reached an agreement or they've at least determined that they can't settle at that point in time. Just like in-person mediations, when parties agree to mediation, the success rate is really quite comparable. One logistical item that is more difficult when you're doing it by telephone or other electronic means is if you feel it's important that the parties sign something pending their ability to do a more full-form settlement agreement, they're not right there to sign it. However, you can use email, you can use fax, you can use other technology to get them to sign something if you feel that's important to do there and then. Otherwise, usually one of the attorneys for the parties will draft the agreement and send it to the other side. You may need to do follow-up, but my experience is that in the vast majority of times, the parties do follow through and they get the paperwork done. When using electronic means, particularly video audio platforms, it is important to practice a little bit. Make sure you're comfortable with it. Make sure you're comfortable with the confidentiality and the security of what you're using. But again, technology gives us the opportunity to do successful mediations in a time of social distancing, and really in any other time that you find that it's an appropriate alternative. With that being said, hope you're staying safe and healthy. Wishing you many, many successful mediations. Hoping you got a lot out of this video. And this is Al the Mediator. Have a great day.